Art through the ages has presented so many things that have influenced the generations to come. It shapes the world that we live in. I feel that human conflict is inevitable. It is in our primal instinct to want more, whether that be making a future for yourself or your society. And there are massive benefits and drawbacks that come with it. An example of power from a military standpoint is the Temple of Ramses. Ramses, as a leader, brought the Egyptian kingdom to new heights with his expansion and his military conquest over the Nubian people. The Temple of Ramses, carved out of a hillside, stood as a representation of Ramses' rule and the benefits that came with it. Inside the temple are statues of gods as well as Ramses. The temple was under risk of flooding in the 60s, but a massive multinational effort was taken to move the statue to a safer height while maintaining its position to the sun.
In 547 BC, a mosaic of Justinian Bishop Maximinus and attendants was made. It is located in the Basilica of San Vitale in Ravenna, Italy. If Christ the Good Shepherd, the mosaic, is a subtle stylization of religious authority, then this artwork is an over-depiction of power. It portrays Justinian dressed very similar to the depiction of Christ the Good Shepherd. This mosaic demonstrates the absolute authority Justinian has. Everyone looks straight ahead directly at the viewers. This conveys a realism or naturalism similar to a modern picture. The mosaic is very intimidating to non-Christians. It almost forces the viewer to accept Justinian and the clergy's authority. Power in the ancient cultures as a culture's view of men and women who would determine who would be or even could be in power. Although most cultures from the ancient world through the late medieval time were highly patricial, several specific cultures revered women as goddesses. Women power is particularly evident in the Stone Age, in the figurine called the Nude Woman or Venus of Willendorf. This small figurine is carved from limestone and depicts a faceless woman with her arm resting on her breast. The figurine is highly stylized, carved with exaggerated proportions to emphasize her breast and pelvic area. The figurine, thought to be a fertility figure, meant to celebrate a woman's power to keep a species alive. Although she is called a Venus, the figurine is not meant to depict a specific goddess or even a specific person, but the female form, which is why she has no face. She is called a Venus because of the mother goddess culture, the idea that every woman is a goddess because of her ability to give life.
Architecture has been another way for people to show power, and looking at the Mawaya minaret of the Great Mosque in Samarra, it is clearly an indicator of wealth and power of the Caliphate, as well as an indicator of the presence of Islam in the city. Since the minaret was built, it has become a mascot for the city of Samarra, and research has shown that the engineering behind the structure is truly remarkable. In the early Islamic times, great height has been an attribute associated with royal power in places that towered over the neighboring houses and mosque. However, by the 9th century, height became associated with religious power instead. The Great Mosque of Samarra was built to serve as a silent but visual powerful symbols of the worldwide presence of Islam.